Hey there. Tonight we're talking about how a humble village seamstress in the 1800s discovered that her simple needle and thread could weave not just beautiful garments, but an entire tapestry of abundance that transformed her life and her community forever, teaching us that prosperity flows naturally when we align our deepest talents with genuine service to others. Before you drift off, take a moment to like this video and subscribe, but only if this kind of transformative deep sleep hypnosis speaks to you. And let me know in the comments where you're tuning in from and how many days in a row you've been on this manifestation journey. I love seeing how committed this community is becoming. Now dim the lights, get comfortable, and let your mind absorb abundance. As the gentle summer evening settles over the rolling hills of the English countryside, you find yourself drawn to a story that whispers of transformation, of dreams carefully stitched into reality through patient hands and an unwavering heart. The year is 1847, and in a small village nestled between lavender fields and ancient oak groves, there lives a young woman named Cordelia, whose fingers dance across fabric like poetry in motion, whose vision extends far beyond the simple cottage where she works by candlelight each night. You can feel the warmth of this summer evening wrapping around you like the softest silk, as crickets begin their twilight symphony and the last golden rays of sunlight filter through the leaves of the great elm tree that stands sentinel beside her window. The air carries the sweet scent of honeysuckle and wild roses, while somewhere in the distance, the gentle lowing of cattle mingles with the soft whisper of evening breezes through the wheat fields. This is a story of quiet revolution, of how one woman's dedication to her craft became the foundation for prosperity that would ripple through generations. And as you settle deeper into comfort, you begin to understand that within this tale lies the blueprint for your own abundant transformation, waiting to be discovered like a hidden treasure sewn into the very fabric of your dreams. In the gentle twilight of this English summer evening, you find yourself watching Cordelia as she sits by her cottage window, her skilled fingers working with a precision that seems to channel something far greater than mere technique. The golden hour light bathes her workspace in warm amber tones, illuminating spools of thread that catch the light like captured sunbeams, each one representing not just color and texture, but possibility itself woven into tangible form. As you observe her careful movements, you begin to recognize within yourself this same capacity for transforming raw materials into something valuable. This same ability to see potential where others see only ordinary supplies. The cottage around her speaks of modest beginnings, with its whitewashed stone walls and thatched roof that has weathered countless seasons. Yet there is something in the air, a quality of expectation that suggests this humble dwelling is on the cusp of becoming something far more significant than its simple appearance might suggest. Cordelia's fingers pause for a moment as she holds up a piece of midnight blue silk to the fading light, examining the way the fabric seems to shimmer with its own inner fire. You notice how she doesn't simply see fabric in her hands, but envisions the dress it will become, the way it will flow with elegant grace, the confidence it will inspire in the woman who wears it. This ability to see beyond the present moment, to hold a vision of completion even while working with raw materials, begins to awaken something similar within your own consciousness. You start to understand that prosperity isn't just about money, but about this capacity to transform humble beginnings into extraordinary results through patience, skill, and an unwavering belief in the value of what you're creating. The sound of her needle drawing thread through fabric creates a rhythmic meditation that seems to sync with your own heartbeat. each stitch a small act of faith, each completed seam a step toward manifesting dreams into reality. The village beyond her window exists in that magical hour when day transforms into evening, when the ordinary world takes on qualities of enchantment that make anything seem possible. You can hear the distant sounds of the village settling into twilight, children's laughter floating on the warm air, the creak of cartwheels on cobblestone streets, the gentle murmur of conversations between neighbors sharing the day's events over garden fences thick with climbing roses. In this peaceful setting, Cordelia's work takes on the quality of ritual, each garment she creates representing not just clothing, but a vehicle for transformation, a way for the women who wear her creations to step into their own power and confidence. As you watch her careful attention to detail, the way she ensures every seam is perfectly straight and every button is placed with mathematical precision, you begin to absorb this same commitment to excellence in your own endeavors, understanding that true prosperity flows naturally to those who bring their highest standards to everything they touch. The candlelight flickers against the growing dusk, creating dancing shadows that seem to bring the cottage to life with gentle movement and warmth. On her work table, bolts of fabric create a landscape of color and texture. Emerald green velvet that seems to hold the essence of deep forest shade, ivory silk that glows like captured moonlight, rich burgundy wool that speaks of autumn harvests and cozy firesides. Each material represents possibility, potential waiting to be shaped by skilled hands and clear vision into something that will bring joy and confidence to its eventual owner. You find yourself recognizing this same abundance of possibility in your own life, seeing that what you might have previously dismissed as ordinary resources actually contain within them the seeds of extraordinary transformation. The rhythm of her work continues, steady and sure, each stitch building upon the last in a pattern that creates something greater than the sum of its parts, just as your own consistent efforts are building toward a future of abundance that grows stronger with each passing day. Outside, the evening air carries the sound of a nightingale beginning its song, a melody that seems to harmonize perfectly with the quiet industry taking place within the cottage. Cordelia pauses in her work to listen, a small smile playing across her lips as she recognizes in this natural music the same pattern she follows in her own craft. Patience, repetition, gradual building toward something beautiful and complete. This moment of recognition seems to deepen her understanding of her place in the larger tapestry of creation, and you sense that she is beginning to grasp something important about the nature of prosperity itself. It's not something that happens overnight through dramatic gestures, but rather something that grows steadily through consistent application of skill and vision, like the nightingale's song that develops phrase by phrase until it fills the entire evening with beauty. As this understanding settles into her awareness, you feel it taking root in your own consciousness as well. This knowledge that your own path to abundance follows natural patterns of growth and development, requiring not force, but the gentle persistence that allows all good things to unfold in their proper time. The light continues to fade, but rather than making her work more difficult, the approaching darkness seems to create a cocoon of concentration around Cordelia's workspace. The glow of her candles transforms the cottage into a sacred space where creation happens through the marriage of vision and skill, where each piece she completes represents not just income, but the satisfaction of bringing beauty into the world through her own capable hands. You begin to understand that this satisfaction, this sense of alignment between ability and purpose, is itself a form of wealth that enriches every aspect of life. The fabric responds to her touch like a willing partner in creation, gathering into pleats and folds that seem to know exactly where they belong, as if the dress is emerging from some already existing perfect form, rather than being constructed from separate pieces. This cooperation between vision and material, between intention and outcome, begins to show you how your own goals and dreams want to manifest when you approach them with this same combination of skill, patience, and absolute certainty in the value of what you're creating. As the evening deepens around the cottage, you notice that the quality of light has shifted from the golden warmth of sunset to the silver coolness of approaching night. Yet the atmosphere inside remains warm and productive. Cordelia reaches for a new spool of thread. This one, a deep forest green that seems to contain within its color the essence of growth and natural abundance. The thread glides through her needle as if it belongs there, and her stitches create a pattern that speaks of mastery earned through years of dedicated practice. Each movement of her hands demonstrates the kind of confidence that comes only from knowing absolutely that you possess the skills necessary to transform vision into reality. And as you observe this confidence, you feel it beginning to awaken within your own relationship to your talents and abilities. You start to recognize that you too possess this capacity for mastery, this ability to develop your skills to the point where creation becomes as natural as breathing, where your work flows from a place of deep competence and joyful expression rather than struggle or uncertainty. The cottage seems to pulse gently with creative energy, as if the very walls have absorbed years of patient craftsmanship and now radiate that accumulated wisdom back into the space. On shelves around the room, completed garments hang like promises fulfilled, each one representing not just a transaction, but a moment of transformation for the woman who commissioned it. You can almost see the stories these clothes will tell, the wedding dress that will witness a lifetime of love beginning, the riding habit that will carry its wearer across countryside adventures, the evening gown that will inspire confidence at important social gatherings. Each piece represents value created through skill and vision, prosperity generated through the generous application of talent in service of others' dreams and aspirations. This understanding begins to shift something fundamental in your own perception of wealth, showing you that true prosperity flows naturally when you focus not on taking, but on giving, not on what you can acquire, but on what you can create and contribute to the world around you. The night air carries new scents now, the cooling earth releasing the day's accumulated warmth. Night blooming jasmine opening its fragrant blossoms to the stars. The distant smoke from cottage chimneys where families gather for evening meals. These sensory details create a backdrop of comfort and belonging that seems to support Cordelia's work, reminding you that prosperity flourishes best in an atmosphere of peace and harmony, where work feels less like struggle and more like natural expression of your unique gifts. The steady rhythm of her stitching continues, creating a meditation that seems to align her entire being with the natural rhythms of creation. And as you attune yourself to this rhythm, you find your own energy synchronizing with the same patterns of patient productivity that generate lasting abundance rather than quick fixes or temporary gains. As the evening deepens into a tapestry of star-scattered darkness, you find yourself drawn deeper into the magical atmosphere surrounding Cordelia's cottage, where the warm glow of candlelight creates an island of productivity in the peaceful summer night. The sound of her needle moving through fabric has become like a gentle mantra, each stitch a small prayer of creation that seems to weave not just cloth, but destiny itself into patterns of increasing beauty and value. You begin to notice how her workspace has gradually transformed throughout the hours, how the simple cottage room has become something approaching a temple of craftsmanship, where every tool serves a sacred purpose and every completed seam represents another step toward the manifestation of dreams that seemed impossible just months ago. The air itself seems charged with potential, as if the very act of creating beautiful things has somehow altered the molecular structure of the atmosphere, infusing it with an energy that makes everything feel more possible, more vibrant, more alive with opportunity. Tonight, Cordelia works on a commission that represents a significant leap forward in both the complexity of her craft and the prosperity it will bring into her life. The gown she's creating is destined for the daughter of a wealthy merchant from the nearest market town, a young woman whose upcoming engagement celebration will attract guests from across the county, creating an opportunity for Cordelia's work to be seen by potential clients whose resources far exceed anything she has previously encountered. Yet as you observe her careful attention to every detail, her refusal to rush despite the increased pressure, you understand that she approaches this opportunity not with desperation or anxiety, but with the same steady confidence that has characterized all her work from the beginning. This consistency of approach, this refusal to be swayed from her standards by external circumstances, begins to reveal itself as one of the fundamental principles underlying all sustainable prosperity. The understanding that true wealth flows to those who maintain their integrity and excellence, regardless of whether they're serving modest village needs or the desires of the wealthy elite. The fabric she works with tonight speaks of luxury that would have been unimaginable in her cottage just a year ago. Silk so fine it seems to capture moonlight in its threads. Imported lace that carries the artistry of craftsmen from distant countries. Tiny pearls that will create constellations of elegance across the bodice of the finished gown. Yet she handles these precious materials with the same respect and attention she has always brought to simple cotton and wool, understanding intuitively that the principles of excellent craftsmanship remain constant regardless of the monetary value of the materials involved. This consistency of standards, this refusal to be intimidated by luxury or to assume that expensive materials somehow require different levels of care and attention, begins to teach you something profound about your own relationship to opportunity and abundance. You start to recognize that success comes not from changing who you are when larger opportunities present themselves, but from bringing the same excellence, the same integrity, the same commitment to value creation that you've developed in smaller circumstances to every new level of possibility that opens before you. The rhythm of her work has evolved into something that transcends mere technical skill, becoming a form of moving meditation that seems to align her entire being with the creative forces of the universe itself. Each stitch flows seamlessly into the next, creating patterns that seem to emerge not from conscious planning, but from some deeper source of wisdom that knows exactly how beauty wants to manifest in physical form. You find yourself entranced by this flow state, recognizing in it the same quality of effortless mastery that you've glimpsed in your own moments of peak performance. those times when your work seemed to happen through you rather than by you, when solutions appeared without struggle and creativity flowed like water, finding its natural course downhill. As you observe this quality in Cordelia's craftsmanship, you feel your own capacity for entering such states of flow beginning to strengthen and expand, understanding that this alignment between personal will and natural creative force represents one of the most reliable pathways to both satisfaction and prosperity. Outside the cottage windows, the summer night has settled into that perfect temperature where the boundaries between inside and outside seem to dissolve, where the cottage becomes part of the larger landscape of rolling hills and starlit sky. The sound of night creatures has joined the gentle symphony of evening. Owls calling from the oak groves, the distant bark of a fox crossing the meadows, the whisper of night breezes through wheat fields that will soon be ready for harvest. These sounds create a backdrop of natural abundance that seems to support and amplify the creative work happening within the cottage walls, reminding you that prosperity is not separate from natural processes, but represents human activity aligned with the same patterns of growth and fruition that govern all of life. The cottage itself seems to participate in this alignment, its stone walls breathing slowly with the rhythm of the earth, its thatched roof rustling gently in harmony with the wind-stirred trees, creating an environment where human creativity and natural abundance flow together in perfect synchronization. The candlelight flickers across bolts of fabric that seem to glow with their own inner light, each color and texture representing not just material for creation, but possibility itself made manifest in physical form. Deep midnight blues that hold the mystery of starlit skies, rich crimsons that pulse with the warmth of life's passionate embrace, gentle golds that carry the promise of dawn and new beginnings, pristine whites that speak of pure potential waiting to be shaped by clear intention and skilled hands. As Cordelia selects each material for its perfect place in her current creation, you begin to see that this process of choosing, of recognizing which elements belong together, and which combinations will create the most beautiful and valuable results, is itself a teachable skill that applies far beyond the realm of fabric and thread. You start to understand that prosperity flows to those who develop this ability to recognize which opportunities, which relationships, which investments of time and energy will combine most harmoniously to create outcomes that exceed what any single element could accomplish alone. The gown taking shape under her hands seems to possess a life of its own, each new seam and pleat revealing more of its intended character, like a sculpture emerging from marble as the artist removes everything that doesn't belong. You witness the gradual revelation of something that was always trying to exist, waiting for the right combination of vision, skill, and patience to bring it into physical reality. This process of revelation, rather than construction, begins to shift your own understanding of how goals and dreams actually manifest in your life. You start to see that your own aspirations aren't things you have to force into existence through struggle and effort, but rather perfect possibilities that already exist in potential, waiting for you to develop the necessary skills and maintain the consistent focus required to allow them to emerge naturally from the field of infinite possibility into concrete, tangible reality. As the night progresses, you notice that Cordelia's movements have taken on an almost ritualistic quality, each gesture flowing seamlessly into the next in patterns that seem to honor both the materials she works with and the vision she serves. Her hands move with the confidence of someone who has found their true calling, who has discovered that perfect intersection of personal talent and world need, where work becomes a worship and creativity becomes contribution. The thread moves through fabric as if it knows exactly where it belongs, creating seams that seem to have existed forever, pleats that fall with mathematical perfection, details that speak of standards so high they transform even the most functional elements into expressions of artistry. This commitment to bringing beauty into every aspect of her work, even those details that might never be noticed by others, begins to teach you something essential about the relationship between internal standards and external success. You start to understand that prosperity flows most readily to those who maintain their highest standards, not for recognition or reward, but simply because excellence has become their natural way of being in the world. The cottage around her seems to pulse gently with accumulated creative energy, as if years of patient craftsmanship have somehow altered the very atoms of the space, creating an environment where beautiful things want to be born, and where the act of creation feels as natural as breathing. The tools of her trade gleam in the candlelight like sacred objects, needles that seem to know their purpose, scissors that cut with surgical precision, measuring devices that ensure every proportion serves both beauty and comfort in perfect balance. Each tool represents mastery earned through countless hours of practice, years of gradually refining technique until the gap between intention and execution has essentially disappeared. As you observe these instruments of craftsmanship, you begin to recognize the tools of your own trade with new appreciation, understanding that mastery in any field comes through this same process of patient refinement, this same commitment to developing your abilities until they become extensions of your deeper purpose, rather than obstacles you have to overcome to achieve your goals. The fragrance of night-blooming flowers drifts through the open windows, mixing with the clean scent of fine fabrics and the warm glow of beeswax candles to create an atmosphere that seems designed to support both creativity and the deepest forms of rest and restoration. You find yourself breathing more slowly and deeply, allowing this atmosphere of peaceful productivity to settle into your own nervous system, teaching your body and mind what it feels like to work from a place of centered calm rather than anxious striving. The rhythm of Cordelia's stitching continues like a heartbeat, steady and sure, creating a meditation that seems to synchronize your entire being with patterns of natural abundance, showing you that true prosperity emerges not from frantic activity, but from this kind of sustained, purposeful engagement with work that serves both your own fulfillment and the genuine needs of others. In the deepening quiet of this summer night, as stars begin to appear through the cottage windows, like diamonds scattered across dark velvet, you find yourself witnessing something profound beginning to unfold in Cordelia's awareness. The gown she's been working on has reached that magical point where its essential character has been revealed, where what began as separate pieces of fabric and thread has transformed into something that seems to have always existed, waiting for the right hands and the right vision to call it into being. as she holds up the nearly completed creation to examine it in the flickering candlelight. You can see in her expression the dawning recognition that something significant has shifted, not just in her technical abilities, but in her fundamental understanding of what might be possible when skill is married to vision, and both are offered in service of beauty and human joy. The dress seems to glow in the warm light, its silk fabric catching and reflecting the candle flames in ways that create an impression of inner luminescence, as if the garment itself has become a vessel for some form of elegant magic that will transform whoever wears it. This moment of recognition marks a turning point, not just in the creation of a single garment, but in Cordelia's entire relationship to her craft and her future. You can sense the subtle but profound shift happening in her consciousness as she begins to understand that what she has accomplished tonight represents more than just meeting the requirements of a particular commission. She has entered into a new level of mastery, where her technical skills and creative vision have merged into something that transcends mere competence, becoming a form of artistry that creates value far beyond the sum of materials and labor involved. This understanding doesn't come as a sudden revelation, but as a gradual dawning, like sunrise slowly illuminating a landscape that was always there but couldn't be seen in the darkness. As you witness this awakening in Cordelia, you feel something similar beginning to stir within your own awareness, a recognition that you too are capable of this kind of transcendent performance, this fusion of skill and vision that creates outcomes more valuable and beautiful than anything you might have previously imagined possible. The cottage environment seems to respond to this shift in consciousness, as if the space itself recognizes that something significant has occurred within its walls. The candlelight appears to burn more steadily, creating pools of warm, golden illumination that make every surface glow with gentle radiance. The fabrics scattered around the workspace seem to possess their own subtle luminescence, each color and texture contributing to an overall impression of abundance and possibility that extends far beyond mere material wealth. You begin to understand that what you're witnessing is the birth of prosperity in its truest form, not just the accumulation of money or possessions, but the development of capabilities so refined and valuable that they naturally attract opportunities for both financial success and deeper forms of fulfillment. This prosperity emerges not from competition or struggle, but from the generous application of developed talents in service of genuine human needs, creating value that benefits everyone involved, while establishing the creator as someone whose work is actively sought after, rather than merely tolerated. As Cordelia continues her work, adding the final details that will transform a beautiful dress into a masterpiece of craftsmanship, you observe how her movements have taken on an almost ceremonial quality. Each stitch is placed with the precision of a meditation master, each fold arranged with the care of someone handling sacred objects. This reverence for the creative process, this understanding that the act of bringing beauty into the world is itself a form of worship and contribution, begins to teach you something essential about the spiritual dimensions of prosperity. You start to see that sustainable abundance flows most naturally to those who approach their work not as mere drudgery to be endured in exchange for money, but as an opportunity to participate in the ongoing creation of beauty and value in the world. This shift in perspective transforms work from something that depletes energy to something that generates and renews it, creating an upward spiral where increased skill leads to greater satisfaction, which in turn inspires even higher levels of performance and correspondingly greater rewards. The night air carries new fragrances now, as if the earth itself is celebrating the creative breakthrough happening within the cottage walls. Night blooming cereus releases its once-yearly perfume into the darkness, mixing with the honey-sweet scent of climbing roses and the clean, green fragrance of dew beginning to form on the grass and leaves. These natural perfumes seem to enhance the atmosphere of creation, reminding you that the impulse to bring forth beauty and value is woven into the very fabric of existence, from the humblest flower to the most sophisticated human endeavor. You find yourself breathing more deeply of this fragrant air, allowing it to carry into your lungs and bloodstream the same creative energy that animates Cordelia's work. Understanding that creativity and prosperity are not separate phenomena, but different expressions of the same fundamental life force that seeks always to manifest greater beauty, greater harmony, greater value in whatever form serves the highest good. The dress nearing completion seems to embody all these principles made manifest in silk and thread. Every line flows with mathematical precision toward perfect proportion. Every detail serves both beauty and function in ways that seem to reflect some deep understanding of how form and purpose achieve their highest expression when they work in complete harmony. As you observe the garment taking its final shape, you begin to recognize similar principles at work in your own life, seeing how your various talents and interests might be woven together into a coherent whole that serves both your own fulfillment and the genuine needs of the world around you. This recognition doesn't come as pressure or demand, but as a gentle invitation to consider how your unique combination of abilities might be developed and applied in ways that create value for others while bringing you the satisfaction and prosperity that flow naturally from work that feels like a perfect expression of who you really are. The candles burn lower as the night progresses, but rather than creating shadows, their diminishing light seems to concentrate into an even more intimate and focused illumination that makes every detail of Cordelia's work visible with crystal clarity. In this concentrated pool of golden light, her hands move with the confidence of absolute mastery, adding the final touches that will transform an already beautiful creation into something that transcends its category altogether, becoming less a piece of clothing than a work of art that happens to be wearable. You witness the moment when craft becomes art, when technical skill becomes creative expression, when the practical and the beautiful merge so completely that the distinction between them ceases to have meaning. This moment teaches you something profound about the nature of mastery in any field. It's not just about becoming competent at prescribed techniques, but about developing your abilities to the point where they become vehicles for expressing something essential about beauty, truth, and value that can't be communicated in any other way. Around the cottage, the summer night has settled into that perfect stillness that occurs only during the deepest hours of darkness, when the day's activities have completely ceased and the morning's bustle has not yet begun to stir. In this profound quiet, every small sound becomes significant. The whisper of thread being drawn through silk, the soft brush of fabric against fabric, the gentle breathing of someone completely absorbed in work that has become a form of meditation and prayer. You find yourself drawn into this same quality of absorption, feeling your own breathing slow and deepen as you align with the rhythm of creation happening before you. This alignment creates a state of consciousness where anxious thoughts about the future and regretful thoughts about the past seem to dissolve, leaving only the eternal, present moment where all possibilities exist, and all creative potential waits to be actualized through focused attention and skilled action. The completed sections of the dress seem to glow with an inner light that has nothing to do with the candles, and everything to do with the quality of consciousness that has been woven into every thread. You begin to understand that this inner radiance represents one of the most valuable qualities anyone can develop: the ability to infuse whatever they create with the essence of their deepest care and highest standards. This quality can't be taught through technical instruction alone, but emerges only through the marriage of skill and love, competence and compassion, mastery and service. As you recognize this quality in Cordelia's work, you feel it beginning to awaken within your own approach to whatever tasks await you, understanding that this infusion of care and consciousness into practical work represents one of the most reliable pathways to both satisfaction and success, creating value that others can sense, even if they can't quite articulate what makes your contribution different from others who might possess similar technical abilities. The night continues its gentle progression toward dawn, though dawn still lies hours away, giving this creative session the quality of existing outside ordinary time altogether. In this space between day and night, between the completion of one garment and the beginning of the next, Cordelia pauses in her work to hold up her creation one final time before adding the last few details. In this moment of contemplation, you can see the full magnitude of what she has accomplished beginning to register in her consciousness. She has not just completed a commission, but has crossed a threshold into a new level of capability that will attract opportunities she could never have imagined when she first began this journey of mastery. The dress represents more than clothing. It embodies proof that dedication, skill, and vision can indeed transform humble beginnings into outcomes of extraordinary beauty and value, creating prosperity that flows naturally from the generous application of developed talents in service of human joy and celebration. As the night reaches its deepest point, when time seems to move more slowly and every moment feels pregnant with possibility, you find yourself drawn into an even more profound understanding of the transformation taking place within Cordelia's cottage. The completed gown now hangs from a carefully positioned wooden form, and even in the gentle candlelight, its beauty seems to radiate outward like a beacon, attracting and focusing the creative energy that fills the cottage atmosphere. The silk moves slightly in the barely perceptible air currents that flow through the space, creating the impression that the dress possesses its own gentle life force, as if the care and consciousness that went into its creation have imbued the physical garment with qualities that extend far beyond mere fabric and thread. You begin to understand that what you're witnessing represents more than the completion of a single piece of clothing. You're observing the birth of reputation, the creation of influence, the establishment of a standard of excellence that will draw opportunities from directions that couldn't have been foreseen when the work began. In this moment of completion, Cordelia seems to sense something of the larger significance of what she has accomplished. As she steps back to admire her finished creation, you can see in her expression the dawning awareness that this gown will serve as an ambassador for her capabilities, traveling into social circles where her name has never been mentioned, being seen by potential clients whose resources and connections could transform not just her own life, but the economic vitality of her entire village. The dress will speak for her craftsmanship in ways that no amount of self-promotion could achieve, demonstrating through its very existence the level of artistry and attention to detail that characterizes all her work. This understanding of how excellence creates its own marketing, how quality naturally attracts opportunity, begins to shift something fundamental in your own relationship to success and recognition. You start to see that the most sustainable form of prosperity comes not from pushing yourself forward, but from developing your capabilities to levels that naturally draw attention and opportunity toward you, creating a magnetic field of competence that makes your services actively sought after rather than reluctantly accepted. The cottage environment seems to pulse with anticipation, as if the walls themselves understand that they have witnessed the creation of something that will extend their influence far beyond their humble boundaries. Every tool, every spool of thread, every carefully organized supply seems to glow with reflected importance, understanding that they have played a role in manifesting something that transcends the sum of its parts. You find yourself seeing your own resources and capabilities in this new light, recognizing that even the most ordinary elements of your life contain the potential to contribute to extraordinary outcomes when they're organized and applied with clear vision and unwavering commitment to excellence. The measuring tape that ensured perfect proportions, the needles that carried thread through countless precise stitches, the scissors that made cuts with surgical accuracy. Each tool represents mastery made manifest, skill developed to the point where the gap between intention and achievement has essentially disappeared. As Cordelia begins to organize her workspace for the next day's projects, you observe how her movements have taken on a new quality of confidence and authority. The success of tonight's creation has confirmed something she had begun to suspect about her own capabilities: that she possesses not just adequate skill for village-level work, but artistry of a caliber that can compete with the finest craftspeople in the region. This recognition doesn't manifest as arrogance or self-congratulation, but as a quiet, settling into a new level of professional identity. Like a flower that has always contained the blueprint for its full flowering, but only reveals its complete beauty when conditions are perfectly aligned. You feel this same process beginning to unfold in your own awareness. This gradual recognition of capabilities and potential that have been developing quietly beneath the surface of consciousness, waiting for the right moment and the right opportunity to reveal themselves in their full power and beauty. The night air carries new energy now, as if word of the creative breakthrough happening within the cottage has somehow spread through invisible networks, attracting the attention of forces that support and amplify excellence wherever it appears. You sense a subtle shift in the atmosphere around the cottage, a quality of expectation and anticipation that suggests something significant is about to unfold. The very molecules of air seem more alive, more charged with possibility, as if the universe itself recognizes that a new level of mastery has been achieved and is already beginning to arrange circumstances that will provide appropriate channels for its expression. This sensation teaches you something profound about how opportunity actually works in the world. It doesn't come randomly or as reward for struggle and complaint, but flows naturally toward those who have developed their capabilities to levels that can receive and utilize whatever abundance the universe is ready to provide. The candles continue to burn with steady flames that seem to defy the gentle air currents moving through the cottage, as if they too understand their role in supporting this moment of transformation and refuse to allow any disturbance to interfere with the completion of this important work. Their light creates pools of golden illumination that make every surface in the cottage glow with warm radiance, transforming the simple stone walls and wooden beams into something approaching a sacred space where miracles of creativity and abundance happen as naturally as breathing. You find yourself breathing more deeply of this charged atmosphere, allowing its qualities of focus and purposefulness to settle into your own nervous system, teaching your body what it feels like to work from a place of absolute confidence in your abilities and complete trust in the value of what you're creating. The completed dress seems to serve as a catalyst for visions of future possibilities that begin to unfold in Cordelia's imagination, like flowers opening to morning sun. She can see herself accepting commissions from the wives of wealthy merchants, creating trousseau items for brides whose families can afford the finest materials and craftsmanship available, designing garments for special occasions that will be photographed and remembered for generations. These visions don't come as fantasies or wishful thinking, but as clear previews of possibilities that her demonstrated level of mastery has made available, opportunities that will flow toward her as naturally as water flows downhill when the proper channels have been prepared. As you witness these visions taking shape in her awareness, you feel similar possibilities beginning to crystallize in your own imagination, seeing how your own developed capabilities could serve as foundations for opportunities that currently seem beyond reach, but will become natural and inevitable once your skills have reached the necessary level of refinement. The rhythm of preparation that fills the cottage as Cordelia readies her workspace for tomorrow's projects creates a meditation on the relationship between present excellence and future abundance. Each spool of thread placed in perfect order, each tool cleaned and positioned for optimal accessibility, each surface cleared and prepared for new creation represents an act of faith in the continuity of success, a vote of confidence in the ongoing expansion of opportunity and prosperity. You begin to understand that this preparation represents more than mere organization. It's a form of manifestation practice that creates space for abundance to flow into physical reality. By preparing for success before it arrives, by organizing resources as if expansion is inevitable rather than hoped for, You create the energetic conditions that make expanded success not just possible, but natural and expected. Outside the cottage, the summer night has reached that point of perfect stillness, when all of nature seems to pause between the completion of one phase and the beginning of the next. In this profound quiet, you can sense the presence of invisible networks of connection and influence beginning to organize themselves around the excellence that has been demonstrated tonight. The gown hanging in its place of honor seems to serve as a beacon, broadcasting its message of superior craftsmanship into dimensions of reality that operate beyond normal sensory perception, attracting the attention of people and opportunities that will provide perfect channels for the expansion of prosperity that this level of mastery has earned. You feel yourself becoming part of these same networks, understanding that your own commitment to excellence creates connections and possibilities that extend far beyond what logic and planning could ever arrange, opening pathways for abundance that emerge from the generous application of developed talents in service of beauty and human flourishing. The tools and materials scattered around the cottage workspace seem to glow with their own subtle illumination, as if they have absorbed some of the creative energy that has been channeled through them and now radiate it back into the environment as a blessing and an inspiration. Each element of the creative process, from the initial vision through the selection of materials, the hours of careful craftsmanship, and the final moment of completion, has contributed to a whole that exceeds anything that could have been achieved through mere technical competence alone. This wholeness, this integration of vision and skill and service, begins to show you what your own life could become when all your various talents and interests are woven together into a coherent expression of your unique value and contribution to the world around you. In the gentle hours that bridge the deepest part of night with the first subtle hints of approaching dawn, you find yourself witnessing the completion of a transformation that extends far beyond the creation of a single garment, encompassing nothing less than the birth of a new level of prosperity consciousness that will ripple outward through time to influence countless lives in ways that can barely be imagined. The cottage around Cordelia has become something approaching a temple of abundance, where every surface glows with the accumulated energy of excellence, where every tool seems blessed by its participation in the creation of something that transcends its humble origins to become a work of art that will inspire and elevate everyone who encounters it. As you observe this transformed environment, you begin to understand that what you're witnessing represents the natural culmination of a process that's available to anyone willing to dedicate themselves completely to the development of their unique talents in service of genuine beauty and value, showing you that prosperity isn't something that happens to a lucky few, but represents the natural outcome of aligning personal capability with universal principles of creation and contribution. The completed gown hangs in its place of honor, like a prayer made visible, its silk fabric catching and reflecting the candlelight in ways that create an impression of inner luminescence that seems to emanate from the very threads themselves. Every line flows with mathematical perfection. Every detail serves both beauty and function in ways that demonstrate the deepest principles of design and craftsmanship. Every element contributes to a whole that achieves that rare quality of inevitability, as if this particular combination of colors and textures and proportions had always existed in the realm of perfect possibility, waiting for the right hands and the right vision to call it into physical manifestation. As you contemplate this completed creation, you feel your own capacity for manifesting perfection beginning to stir and expand, understanding that the same principles that guided the creation of this masterpiece are available to organize and direct your own creative efforts, whether they involve fabric and thread or any other medium through which excellence can be expressed and shared with the world. Cordelia moves through her final preparations for the night with the grace and efficiency of someone who has found perfect alignment between personal capacity and universal purpose, each gesture flowing seamlessly into the next in patterns that speak of deep understanding about how individual effort harmonizes with cosmic creative force to produce outcomes that serve the highest good of all concerned. As she carefully covers her completed creation with protective cloth and arranges her workspace for tomorrow's continuation of the creative process, you observe how her movements have taken on the quality of ritual, each action performed with the reverence appropriate to someone who understands that they are participating in something far greater than personal achievement or individual success. This understanding transforms work from mere labor into a form of worship, where the act of bringing beauty and value into the world becomes its own reward, generating satisfaction and meaning that far exceed any monetary compensation, while simultaneously creating the conditions that ensure such compensation will flow abundantly and consistently. The night air that flows through the cottage windows carries scents that seem to celebrate the creative breakthrough that has occurred within these walls. Night blooming jasmine releasing its intoxicating fragrance into the darkness. Honeysuckle vines offering their sweet nectar to nocturnal pollinators. Roses whose perfume has been concentrated and refined by the cooling temperatures of deep night. These fragrances blend and mingle to create an atmosphere that seems designed to support the highest forms of human creativity, reminding you that the impulse to create beauty and value is woven into the very fabric of existence, from the humblest flower seeking to attract beneficial insects to the most sophisticated human endeavor that seeks to serve and elevate the human spirit. You find yourself breathing more deeply of this perfumed air, allowing its qualities of beauty and abundance to settle into your lungs and bloodstream, teaching your entire nervous system what it feels like to live and work in an atmosphere where excellence is the natural standard and prosperity the expected outcome. As the candles burn lower, their light becomes more concentrated and intimate, creating a sacred space where the transformation of the evening can be fully appreciated and integrated into consciousness. In this golden pool of illumination, surrounded by the tools and materials of mastery, you witness Cordelia's gradual recognition of the magnitude of what she has accomplished, not just tonight, but through all the months and years of patient development that have led to this moment of breakthrough. She understands now that she has crossed a threshold that can never be uncrossed, that she has achieved a level of capability that will forever change not just her own life, but the lives of everyone whose existence intersects with her expanding circle of influence. This recognition brings not anxiety about increased responsibility, but a deep sense of satisfaction and gratitude, understanding that she has been privileged to discover and develop gifts that can serve beauty and human flourishing in ways that create prosperity for herself while contributing genuine value to the world around her. The cottage itself seems to participate in this recognition, its stone walls and wooden beams somehow warmer and more welcoming than before, as if the building itself has been blessed by its role in supporting the development of mastery and the creation of beauty. Every surface glows with gentle radiance that has nothing to do with the candles and everything to do with the accumulated energy of thousands of hours of patient, purposeful work that has transformed this simple space into something approaching a sanctuary where miracles of creativity happen as naturally as sunrise and sunset. You find yourself recognizing similar potential in your own environment, seeing how whatever space you occupy can be transformed through the consistent application of excellence and care into a place where your own unique form of mastery can develop and flourish, attracting opportunities and abundance as naturally as flowers attract beneficial insects through the generous offering of nectar and fragrance. The rhythm of night sounds outside the cottage has shifted into the pattern that announces the approach of dawn still hours away. Owls calling to each other across the meadows with messages that seem to celebrate the creative success happening within human dwellings. Night breezes stirring through wheat fields with whispers that carry news of breakthrough and transformation. Distant church bells marking the passage of sacred time with tones that honor both completion and new beginning. These sounds create a symphony of support and celebration that seems to acknowledge that something significant has been accomplished, that a new level of mastery has been achieved, that the conditions for expanded prosperity have been firmly established through the generous application of developed talents in service of beauty and human joy. You feel yourself becoming part of this celebration, understanding that your own commitment to excellence creates ripples of positive influence that extend far beyond your immediate circumstances to bless and inspire everyone whose life your work touches in any way. The tools of Cordelia's trade seem to gleam with special brightness in the concentrated candlelight, each one reflecting not just illumination, but accumulated wisdom earned through countless hours of practice and refinement. The needles that have guided thread through thousands of precise stitches, the scissors that have made cuts with surgical accuracy, the measuring devices that have ensured perfect proportions in hundreds of garments. Each tool embodies mastery made manifest, skill developed to the point where the gap between intention and achievement has essentially disappeared. As you contemplate these instruments of excellence, you begin to see your own tools and resources with new appreciation, understanding that mastery in any field comes through this same process of patient development, this same commitment to refining your abilities until they become perfect vehicles for expressing whatever form of beauty and value wants to manifest through your unique combination of talents and vision. In the profound stillness that characterizes the deepest hours of night, when all unnecessary activity has ceased and only the most essential processes continue, you witness Cordelia's final moments of communion with her completed creation. She stands before the covered gown with the reverence of someone who recognizes that she has been privileged to serve as a channel for something that transcends personal achievement, something that represents the collaboration between human skill and cosmic creative force that produces outcomes more beautiful and valuable than anything that could be accomplished through individual effort alone. This moment of recognition marks the completion not just of a garment, but of an entire cycle of development that has transformed her from competent village seamstress to artisan, capable of creating works that will be treasured for generations, establishing her as someone whose services will be actively sought after by those who recognize and can afford the finest quality craftsmanship available. The atmosphere within the cottage has taken on the quality of a meditation hall or sacred space where important transformations occur naturally and regularly, where the boundaries between individual effort and universal support dissolve into a seamless flow of creation that serves the highest good while providing abundant rewards for those who offer their capabilities in this spirit of generous service. You find yourself settling into this same quality of consciousness, feeling your own breathing slow and deepen as you align with rhythms of creativity and abundance that operate beyond the level of personal will or individual striving. Understanding that true prosperity emerges from this kind of surrender to principles that govern the manifestation of beauty and value throughout the entire universe. This alignment creates a state of being where anxious thoughts about future security and regretful thoughts about past mistakes seem to dissolve naturally, leaving only the eternal present moment where all possibilities exist and all creative potential waits to be actualized through focused attention and skillful action. As the night reaches its deepest point of stillness and peace, you witness the final integration of all the elements that have contributed to this evening's transformation. The years of patient skill development, the gradual accumulation of increasingly fine tools and materials, the evolution of vision from simple competence to genuine artistry, the recognition of personal capability as a vehicle for serving beauty and human flourishing. All these elements have woven themselves together into a tapestry of accomplishment that establishes Cordelia as someone whose work creates value far beyond the sum of materials and labor involved. Someone whose reputation will draw opportunities from directions that couldn't have been foreseen when her journey of mastery began. This weaving together of separate elements into a coherent whole that exceeds anything the parts could accomplish individually begins to show you how your own various talents and interests might be integrated into a unified expression of your unique value and contribution to the world around you. The candlelight continues to burn with steady flames that seem to defy the gentle air currents moving through the cottage, as if they understand their role in supporting this moment of completion and integration, providing the illumination necessary for the full significance of the evening's accomplishments to be recognized and absorbed into consciousness. In this golden light, surrounded by the tools and materials of mastery, blessed by the presence of a creation that embodies the highest standards of beauty and craftsmanship. You feel your own commitment to excellence deepening and solidifying, understanding that this same quality of dedication and attention to detail can transform whatever field of endeavor you choose to pursue into a source of both deep satisfaction and abundant prosperity. The night embraces the cottage like a protective blessing, creating the perfect conditions for rest and restoration that will prepare both body and consciousness for the expansion of opportunity and abundance that this level of mastery has earned and will continue to attract, as naturally as sunrise follows the deepest darkness of night. In these final moments, before settling into the deep, restorative sleep that will integrate all the evening's lessons into the cellular memory of success and abundance, you find yourself filled with profound gratitude for having witnessed this transformation, for having absorbed these principles of prosperity through patient observation of excellence in action, for having learned that sustainable wealth flows most naturally to those who develop their capabilities in service of beauty and human flourishing, rather than mere personal gain. The cottage settles into peaceful silence, its stone walls and wooden beams breathing slowly with the rhythm of the earth, its interior spaces glowing with accumulated creative energy that will continue to support and inspire the ongoing development of mastery that creates prosperity as naturally as healthy trees produce fruit in their proper season. As sleep begins to claim your consciousness, you carry with you the deep understanding that this same process of patient development, generous service, and unwavering commitment to excellence is available to transform your own life into an expression of abundance that blesses everyone whose existence intersects with your expanding circle of influence and contribution, creating wealth that serves not just personal needs, but the elevation and enrichment of the entire world around you. As your dreams carry you deeper into the restorative peace that prepares consciousness for the next day's opportunities to express and share the unique gifts that make you an irreplaceable part of the grand tapestry of prosperity and creativity that weaves itself through every moment of existence.